Welcome to the Family First Life Solidity Agency call. Today is December 8th. We are in the third week of December. December is a 5-week turn-in, and today I'm super excited because I'm here with a very special guest, Miss Helena Wears. Now I'm going to brag on Helena a little bit. Helena got licensed recently. Fresh out of college, she decided to join the insurance industry. She heard about the opportunity from a family friend, decided to join FFL, and in her first full months in the insurance industry, she protected 19 families. So I'm super excited to have you on with me today, Helena. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on here, Christina.
Of course. I'm excited for this call. And Helena, I know I just talked a little bit about how you graduated college prior to starting Family First Life, but what actually made you decide to join the insurance industry?
I had no idea I was going to get into the insurance industry. Honestly, just doing the job search, going through the motions, looking at everything and anything, and really just wasn't happy with whatever I was finding. I found one, uh, like one ad on LinkedIn, and it wasn't for FFL. It wasn't at all for FFL, and I didn't even know it was for insurance. Honestly,
Okay.
I just got to it, got through the interviews, all of it, and then I find out it's insurance, and I'm like, okay, didn't imagine myself doing that, but sure, I'm open to it. If it's gonna get me where I want to be in the future, like that's great. So I get started. I'm in the pre-licensing, which I had to pay for the pre-licensing wherever I was at. I had to do that myself. And then I'm really close with Rami's family. And I had known that he was in the insurance industry, but I'd never spoken to him about it. So at that point, I actually did have a conversation with him about it. And when I told him everything about it, he was like, "Why are you working there where you have to pay for pre-licensing? You're not fully vested, and your comp level is this much, where you're getting like half of what you could be getting." And I'm like, I had no idea. I was just going with it. I had really no idea. So, long story short, I never even signed a contract with that company. I just went over to FFL immediately.
Awesome. I
So,
love that. I love that. And what's so interesting is that you said, you read the whole job ad, right? You started the interviewing process, if you will, and you still had no idea it was for insurance.
no, it said something like really vague, like financial whatever. And I was like, okay, I love finances. So cool.
The same thing happened to Marisa when she initially joined the industry. She went on a job interview, had no idea it was for insurance. When she was there, she found out that it was. Marisa actually got licensed, fun fact, and had no idea that she was going to be working 100% commission-based position, because that's how vague the company was where she got started. But I guess you don't know what you don't know, right? Like, they sell these opportunities like they're the best things in the world. And if you're not knowledgeable about the industry, it's hard to know what's a good opportunity and what's not. So thank you for that,
Mhm.
Helena. Thank you. And you protected 19 families in your first full month in the insurance industry. What do you think were some of the contributing factors to that for allowing you to see success right from the gate, Helena?
Oh my gosh, there's just so many factors that were working in my favor, from the infrastructure, the support team I have, like you and Marisa and Rami, all of you guys in the office. Immediately from the jump, Rami was like, "You need to be in the office. I know you want to work telesales, but you need to be in the office because you're going to learn so much." And thank God, because even though it's really far out for me, and I guess that's relative, but it's like over an hour drive for me every Monday and Thursday. But I know personally I need to be there. That's the only way I'm going to be getting work done. So I go to the office. That was essential, non negotiable, definitely. Protecting dial time. I learned that early on. I made the mistake once to go have an appointment in the evening on my dial day. And that, how does the guy no show me when I literally had set the appointment that day? So that happened. I was like, never again, never doing a appointment on dial day. Um, Door knocks, that was something really early on that I just pushed myself to do, and it really did. I saw results from it early, so that had me convinced. Yeah, and I'd say showing up early to the office so that I'm ready to go whenever it hits 8 AM, and then being willing to stay late. So,
Yeah, for sure. And I'm in the office with you, Helena, so I know how early you get here and how late you leave. And I love that you said that because you're not making excuses for yourself. You're still getting there every Monday and Thursday, like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I too think that's a lot of the reason why you've seen the success that you have, just because you're putting in the work. You're protecting your dial time and you're not making excuses for yourself. Um,
mhm.
what does your average schedule look like? Like, what does your activity look like? What does your lead flow look like? What does that look like week to week for you?
So dial days, definitely, I just keep it the company-wide schedule, Mondays and Thursdays, dial for the next 2 days.
Mhm.
And if I need to fill in the gaps, like, some of the other days I haven't booked enough appointments, I will call, try and set a couple same day appointments or follow up with old no-shows or reschedules and see if I can squeeze them in while I'm in the area. And door knocks. I'll schedule door knocks. I have them all like divided into towns. So if I'm in a town, I'm gonna like pull out a stack and I'm gonna just like try and hit as many of those as I can before my next appointment. Which I've never been able to hit all of them, but I have gotten some. You know, the stack has gotten smaller each time, which is the goal. Yeah, lead flow that would look like buying leads beforehand for my Monday and Thursday dial day, but depending on the availability of leads, I'm going to be checking the CRM every day to see if there's anything in there that I can grab that's going to help me. Because sometimes there's not always the right quantity you want, on demand. So you need to be prepared to set your notifications, see what's going on in there. Yeah, and just see what you can get.
I love that. So you're checking the CRM every single day to make sure that you're having a successful dial day, whether that be Monday or Thursday, and you want your leads ready for that day, right? So you want your leads
Yeah.
and ready to go Sunday night or Wednesday night.
Yeah, and that notification usually comes through right when I wake up. So that if find it hard to wake up, that wakes you up because you're like, I got to get in the CRM. I
Right,
got to get in
right.
there.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I get the notifications too. Okay. And Helena, you said something interesting a few minutes ago. You said initially when you got started, you planned to work telesales, right? I actually didn't know that about you. So what made you decide to actually do in-home appointments as opposed to the telesales?
Um, well, Rami was just, he convinced me that telesales, you got to kind of be like a ninja on the phone. You got to really have it down. And there's less room for error when you're doing the interaction over the phone. But in the home, it's not like if they want to end the conversation, they got to kick you out the house. So you've got that working in your favor. You can really have a lot more room for error when you're learning in the home. You can try out different word tracks, just really experiment. And it's easier, honestly, to build rapport when you're in the home, just because you could see pictures on the wall, whatever it is. It's really a lot easier to build that connection and build confidence that way. And he recommended for me, like, give it 90 days in home. And if you want, at the end of that, you can decide if you want to go telesales or if you want to stay in home. But you should have enough skill developed at that point that you could go either way. So right now, I mean, I really do love in home because I like that face to face interaction. It just gives you that social aspect that would be hard to do if you're just independently working remote all day.
I always recommend to new agents. I love that you said that. Get in your first 50 or 100 homes, learn the applications, learn what carriers are friendly to what health conditions and what aren't, learn the proper questions to ask your client, learn how to communicate with the client properly, and then transition to a virtual model, whether that's via Zoom or through telesales. I feel like once your skill set's there, it's just easier to make that transition because more often than not, what I see with new agents is they really struggle with the phones. So if you're struggling to book, 10, 15 appointments, are you really going to want to sit there and dial all day? to do telesales. You have to have a really strong mindset to do that. Shout out to Heather Robeson. Heather came in, she's honestly she's the only agent I can think of right now that came in with no insurance experience prior, and just consistently continues to crush it doing telesales. But Heather has one of the strongest mindsets I know of anybody. So I think more often than not, that's what new agents struggle with, is just the actual dialing aspect of it. So it doesn't make sense when you don't know the proper questions to ask the clients. You don't know the application process to come in and kind of just do telesales. If you're struggling with picking up the phone. So thank you for sharing that, Helena.
Yeah, it's definitely like a discipline aspect. Like telesales, you really got to level up your discipline. So right now I'm not there yet, but that's what I'm trying to work towards. So really just got to pick up my, dial more. And if that was hard for me doing in-home appointments to dial that much, it would have been a lot harder if I was doing telesales. So for me, it's really helping me to just up my activity and incrementally, really.
I love that. I love that. And just like I said, I think that it's so much easier to make that transition once you have the product knowledge too, because you're so much more comfortable with the various e-applications, with the health conditions that certain carriers take. Like, you used to call me from the home all the time. Now I know if you're calling me when you're at home, it's because you got a decline. It's like, so it looks a lot different when you're at that level and you know what makes sense for certain health conditions and whatnot. One thing I think you're really great at, Helena, and consistent with, and you've been consistent with it since the beginning, is just plugging into the team, whether that's the dial team, the team calls, the various trainings throughout the week. How important is plugging into the team and plugging into those trainings and keeping your mindset right and actually seeing success and staying consistent?
Oh, it's absolutely necessary. I'm a big people person, so just having that community that I'm able to like tap into, and it just keeps me accountable. So I love the dial teams, love those, because once I start to get into the groove of it, I'm like, oh my God, 1 o'clock already? Like, we have to hang up. Like, I was just enjoying this now. So it's really nice to have just be alongside everyone. Trainings, those are absolutely essential, not just for improving like my skill and everything, but helping to just maintain that steady mindset, not let doubt get in. So easy, if you're a very like mental person in your head a lot, it's so easy to get just tricked by yourself into being demotivated, when really, like, if you plug into these videos and all these resources, they really just help keep you at a headspace that's up here, and you're able to continue your movement, keep going forward, keep pushing past whatever you're at right now, like whatever slump you're at.
I love that. I love that. And Helena, you're obviously primarily in home. How are you setting the stage initially when you're in home with the client that you're doing business today? Like, what are some of the things you do on the front end to be proactive, essentially, versus reactive?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. Probably most important is your role and purpose, which from the start, from my first in home, I made sure I had that memorized. I remember Marisa sent me a voice note of the role and purpose, and I was like going through that over and over and over. And even on my drive to my first appointment, which was like an hour away, and they no showed me, but it's fine because I got the practice in for my role and purpose.
Love it.
It was like an hour-long drive. I'm not listening to music. I'm repeating role and purpose over and over again until I can say it like verbatim. So that's absolutely essential. If you're not incorporating that's necessary, or else you're just not going to get very far, because they don't know what to expect from this appointment. You need to establish what they should expect. What are the expectations you're setting for this appointment? Why are you here? You're not here for, just to get together or just to hang out. It can be a fun appointment, but you're here for a reason, for your job. So I like to make that very clear. And then you want to incorporate, this is something I'm doing more and more often. It's like putting trial closes in there. So just finding out, so this is what you want to leave for your daughter. It's like, oh yes, they're the one taking care of everything. Okay, so that would be your beneficiary. And just these really intentional questions, like, so that they know that they're going to have this in place. Yeah.
I love that. And I think setting it up on the front end is just so important. That way you don't have to be reactive at the end of the appointment. Not to put too much pressure on you, Helena, but will you go through your role and purpose? I know you primarily run final expense. Will you run through that for us?
Yeah, sure. So, and I usually have that credibility sheet too, the one with all the carriers on it too. So what I usually do first is I'll pull the lead out. I'll show them the lead and I'm like, you had mailed this in, this is you, right? And they look at it and they're like, yeah, of course that's me. And then I'm like, okay, great. Most families, they mail it in for one of three reasons. The first would be you don't have any life insurance at all and you know you need it. Second would be if you have something already in place and you're just looking to either strengthen your position or find something that was a better fit. And lastly would be if you were looking to leverage your legacy, maybe leave something behind for your family. So out of those, what most applies to you? And they answer. They say a bit of this one, bit of that one, or, or they might completely cut me off and be like, I don't have anything. I don't have anything at all.
Right. So you're getting the why, like you're getting that surface why out initially, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that we can, and that kind of helps you to know what kind of verbiage you should be using during the appointment. Whether it's like, this isn't necessary because you have nothing in place, like whether it's that drastic or it's you want to build something for your financial future for your kids. You want to really implement this for them, for their benefit. And so then after that, I would pull out that credibility sheet and I say, so I'm a field underwriter or broker. And what that really means is I work with over a dozen carriers. So all of these on the paper and more. My job is to, oh my gosh, my brain just froze because I usually don't even think about it. I just say it.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm not particular for one of them. I'm not biased for any of them. I just work with you. And based off your age and your health, what's the best we can find you for whatever coverage it is you need. And I tell them, I'm going to ask you a couple questions about your finances and what plans you already have in place. That's just to gauge where we're at and see if this is something you really need or not. I'm going to ask you a couple questions about your health, respectfully, not to be invasive, but just so whatever carrier we're looking at, we can get you an approval and not a declination. Okay. And then I always finish it with, and we're, I'm saying, oh, what do I finish it with now?
Budget.
Okay. Yes. I'll always budget. There's something specific I say. Yeah, well, and your job today is to be transparent with me. And by that, I mean you can be transparent about your health, about your budget. It just helps me serve you better. And they love that. They really love it when I say that. And then I say, and once we find something that meets your need, meets your budget, and make both those work together as best we can, we'll send in an application and they'll give us a response within 1 to 5 days, whether you're approved or not. Sounds good? And they say, yep. And then we get started. So straight into the questions and they have no problem answering them. They know I'm professional from the start, so they're not afraid. I've never had an objection come to routing number, account number, social. They're just handing me everything at that point.
Okay. And after you go through your role and purpose, if you will, that's when you're transitioning to the financial inventory sheet, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I go through every single part of it.
And then after the financial inventory, Helena, so you know what their health conditions are or aren't. Essentially, how do you know what options to show them? Like how are you showing them the options? Are you showing them one option? Are you showing them three? What does that look like, the close for you?
Well, I definitely always ask them, you want a burial or you want a cremation? And then I tell them like the differences between those two. And then I say, okay, I'm going to pull up a couple options for you just so you have options to look at. And I'm just going to pull some things out and I'm going to base them off of what a burial, if they say burial, I'm going to base this off of just a burial, a basic burial. And so I'll pull up like 15, 10, 8, if it's a burial. It really depends, I'm a budget sensitive, so I really pay attention to that part and you can just edit it to whatever their need is. And same thing if it was a cremation. So yeah, I've honestly, there's something out there for everyone. Like I've never had it being an issue that like the coverage is too small. If they know they need coverage, they're gonna agree if it's $1,500. I've literally had a $1,500 policy before. So if they just want something in place. So if that's all they can afford, go for it.
Right. And that's so important too. So you're not showing the same options in every home. They're really dependent upon what the person can qualify for and obviously what their budget looks like, right? So you're not walking into someone that has very limited Social Security income and showing them, you know, a $30,000 plan, right?
Yeah. No, I'm not. Yeah. And once I do show them the options, I always tell them like we can look at other amounts too, but I just pulled these up to be helpful for your situation. So sometimes they'll tell me, do you have something like a little bit lower? Or they'll tell me, do you have anything higher? I've had both of those happen. And at that point, then I'll have a better idea of what they want and I can pull up like something higher or lower, whichever way. But yeah. But that gives them the idea that there is something out there for one, their affordability, or if their need is higher, there's something for their need too. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And before you start the actual application process, Helena, are you telling them, hey, I'm going to need your driver's license, social security number, account and routing number? Are you asking for that on the front end, or what does that kind of look like for you?
um it depends. I usually don't ask for it right away just because I forget and I'm just getting straight into it, but they always grab it for me whenever, it's never an issue. But one thing that's helpful is I do ask, do you have a card or do you have a checking account? Because that's important for what carrier you can look at. Because it's happened before and it's a pain in the butt when you get all the way to the end, the billing, and they're like, I don't have a bank account, I have a card. You're like, oh God, we could have really shortened this process. So
Right. Right. I love that. And thank you for bringing that up. And one question that I always implemented was, as I'm going through the financial inventory, I'll ask, do you bank with a credit union or do you use a commercial bank like Bank of America? And right
that's
then and
good.
there, if you don't use, like, if they don't have an actual bank account, that's when they're going to tell you, oh no, I pay everything through my, social security card or whatever it may be. And if someone were to ask, like, why do you need to know that information? I'll always just say certain carriers offer discounts through certain banks.
Hmm.
So that's just another way to kind of implement that, because that's so important. And you're absolutely right. A lot of times new agents won't ask that. And they're also not asking for the routing and account number on the front end before starting the e-application. And then they get all the way through the Amerigo app and the person only has a card. So
Hmm.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for bringing that up. And just to kind of wrap up the call, Helena, what are your goals with Family First Life? So you've only been here for a few months now. When you started in September, Helena?
Yeah, like mid-September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So October was your first full month. You protected 19 families. And
Yes. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And what are your goals, I guess, just with Family First Life? Like where does Helena want to be with Family First Life in 6 months, a year, 3 years? What does that look like for you?
Oh my goodness. So long term, I haven't gotten there yet, but I definitely want to be producing at a higher level, whether that be hitting the 25 and then 30 and then 40. I do want to get to those points. But for immediately right now, it's really all my goals are going to be activity based, just because that's my weak point. That's my weak suit right now. Being consistent with my activity. So I really need to up that, like get it a lot higher, because like I mentioned earlier, dialing is not my favorite thing to do. So that's where I need to focus on. So right now it's going to be like tripling the amount of dials I do, doubling them, just really getting my activity up, doing more door knocks. I have so many leads with no phone numbers on them that I have to go knock on all their doors. So I really need to get through all of those. That's another goal.
I love that. And it's funny that you say that because Helena is saying that she doesn't put the proper amount of activity in, but I'm here in the office with her. Guys, Helena does not leave the office before 9 o'clock at night. Like on a dial day, she's usually the last one to leave the office, or it's like me, her, and Gianna are like walking out at the door at like 9:15. Like Helena is dialing until 9. Like if she doesn't have her appointment count, she's dialing till 9, and then she's getting her door knocks ready. One thing that I think that we implemented in the office that really works for all of us is after we set our schedule, we're finding like 3 to 5 door knocks for each of those appointments. So if we're rescheduled or we're no-showed, we already have places to go. We're not even thinking about it. So if you haven't implemented that and you're running in-home, definitely implement that. It's going to be a game changer. I heard this on a call a few weeks back. An agent was talking and he said, my goal is to do at least 5 door knocks on any given field day. So it's like, if you just start implementing that and you're running full-time 20 door knocks a week, like you're going to start writing at set, like you're just going to, by default, you're putting more activity and you're going to start writing at a higher level and you're going to start getting the results that you want. In door knocking, I feel like a lot of times it can be intimidating. Like I had Annabelle call me, for example, a few weeks ago, and she was like, hey, Christina, I'm going to start door knocking. Like, what do I say? And I was like, Annabelle, honestly, whatever's going to come out is going to come out. Like, it's not that deep. You have a lead. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just always say, hey, I was helping your neighbor out. Couldn't get you on the phone. I'm just the field underwriter for this area. Do you have 10, 15 minutes to go over the information now? But like, guys, door knocking, if you're not doing it, you're really losing out. The worst they can say is no, just like on the phone. The worst thing they can do is tell you to leave. And then honestly, that's good. You resolve the lead. Now you don't need to call them anymore. So definitely implement that if you haven't already. Helena, thank you so much for being on the call with me today. One last question. Well, 2 actually. Will you be at the annual convention in Miami in February?
Of course. Can't wait for it.
Awesome.
Me, and I'm bringing friends too. So
yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm excited to meet everyone. It's going to be an amazing event. And any parting thoughts, Helena, any advice you want to give to new agents or anything at all?
Be uncomfortable. It's okay if you're uncomfortable every single day. That's really important because that's how you get better. And then literally a month from now, from when you're uncomfortable, you're going to look back and you're going to be like, wow, I did all of that. And now it's like, feels kind of normal. So I literally yesterday when I did door knocks, I was like getting up to it was an apartment building. I had to get into the apartment building, got up to the door, and I didn't feel nervous when I, had to do the thing. And I'm like, that's a big deal. Cause before I'd like have to repeat it so many times in my car before I got to the door. And now I'm just like, really, really relaxed. I got this. So just be uncomfortable every day and be okay with that. Yeah. And it's okay, if you fall short some days, because so long as every single day you're like, have it in your mind that you want to do a little bit better, that all adds up too. So
I love that. I love that. And I can't wait to see where you are in the future, Helena. You're doing amazing. So thank you for being on the call with me today. I appreciate you. Other than that, guys, does anybody have any questions, concerns, comments, anything?
Thank you so much, Christina, for all the support in the office too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. I love working with you. I really do. And I'm so happy you're in our office. Guys, if you're not plugging into an office, please get into an office that's near you. It's literally a game changer. All the office locations are listed on WorkSpots as well as familyfirstlife.com. It's literally going to change the whole dynamic of your business, you plugging into an office and just getting around other people that are doing this. It's weird if you go to an office, if you don't work, it's a lot easier to slack off if you're working in a home office, you're doing your own thing, whatever it may be. If you're going to an office, you're gonna pretty much be put into a corner to actually make it happen. So just like Helena said, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Definitely plug into your local office if you're not already. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything from anybody else before we go?
Hey, I just wanted to quickly chime in. Thank you so much. You guys absolutely crushed this call. And I did just want to point out, like Helena, you pointed out some really like almost commonsensical things, if you will, but they're so, so important. I love when Christina asked, what are your goals? And you said, I have activity-based goals. It's because this is an activity-based results, type of, program, so to say. So the activity is going to win. So I just love that. I really wanted to point that out. And then also just with the door knocks, it sounds so silly because we're all scared to do those first, the first one, the first 5, the first 20. But after that, it's like, hey, John, what's up? You filled this form out. Are we going to do it now? Or are we going to do it tomorrow? So kind of being able to just simplify the process. Love being in business with you, Helena and Christina. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And last thing, if you're not registered for convention, please register. Also, I did want to point out, if you guys, you have a spouse, you're in a relationship, it's important that that person's there so that they can understand what it is that you're actually trying to do in this business, because it will just feel like 3 more days that you're not there, right? So versus, bringing your family or whoever that, is with you, and just getting them involved in terms of what is it exactly that you're doing each and every day that, you're not home, so to say. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you guys at convention, and Christina and Helena, thank you both so much.